Shalom, everybody. I'm setting up here for the final quarter activation reading. And this is an archetypal activation reading for those of you who haven't ever tuned into this sort of a thing before. I use the tarot, and my methods are Kabbalistic. But you don't really need to know anything about what I do or what this is. You kind of just have to open yourself up to receive the message as it comes through. So, when you hear tarot, don't immediately close up or think of any previous definitions that you've held in your mind about tarot, because this is just a unique experience in and of itself. So I've been doing these activation readings for a few years now, and they happen every week. I use the moon as a measurement of time, nothing more. This doesn't actually have anything to do with the moon. Again, I just use the moon to measure the time. So right now we're at the final quarter. We had the full moon activation last week. We kind of saw the whole picture last week of what's been going on this month with the collective consciousness. And now we're wrapping up a cycle and preparing for next week's new beginning. New moon, new beginning. Again, moon, measurement of time only. Today, we are in the middle of the holiday Pesach, or Passover. We just finished Easter. This is a very holy time, very sacred time of the year. Each moment sacred, each moment holy. But right now is a particularly elevated time. And today is the day, as far as Passover, today is the day that represents the splitting of the sea. And before that even happened, the Jewish women, when the Jews were liberated from Egypt, brought all of their instruments, and they began to sing songs of praise and thanks before the miracles even happened. They were giving thanks for the miracles not even yet there, because they had faith in those miracles. They had full faith in those miracles, and that is ultimately what brought those miracles to them fast and with great power. So today is an awesome day, and where I am, it's beautiful outside. The sun is shining, so I'm feeling really in that space to soak that message in and to see what new messages come up now with the activation reading. So I have the major and the minor arcanum split. That means I have the more important major cards in one deck right here, and I have the minor arcanum, the details, the elaborations of those first cards in this deck here. So the cards are shuffled and ready, but before I begin, just go ahead and let go of any thoughts that you have about what this is supposed to be, what it's going to be. Let go of any thoughts you've been carrying today or this week or maybe this month. Whether good or bad thoughts, whatever they are, just ask them to take a seat so that we can create an open space for something else to enter. We want to create a space, because if we're so busy with other thoughts, then that's all we'll see and that's all we'll hear. Our consciousness can only focus on one thing at a time. So right now, rather than being filled with all these distractions or ideas, let's just put them all aside and create a big space together. Because energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be transformed. What does it mean to create a space? Maybe it means to find the biggest space. So what is the biggest space where we can all meet right now? What space already exists? Oh, I know the best space, the best place in the heart, the infinite space, outside of time and space. Timeless place of the heart. Yeah, that's a good spot to meet. So let's meet there. And when you're there, in the infinite space of the heart, we're all there together as one. Let's feel the expansive space of that place, preparing to open up to this wisdom that wants to be shared from these archetypes or the faces of the one. And when you're ready, go ahead and just send your energy into the deck however you desire. So go ahead and just connect. You can send a thread of light from your inner eye to the deck. You can send a thread of light from your heart to the deck. You can see yourself shrinking and jumping into the deck, whatever your beautiful imagination wants to see. Just connect. So now that we're at the time of the final quarter, this means we're closing up a cycle and we're beginning a new one. So immediately what I see is this vision of something that we have transformed the cycle. Like, what has all this inner work that we've done this cycle given us in actual material form even? What has it given us as far as our inner world, but also our outer world? All this work that we've done this month, this past cycle, what has it offered us as far as building our character, deepening our wisdom, and maybe how has that translated into our physical reality as actual things or situations unfolding? So what is that gift that we're being given now as a materialization of all of our efforts this month? Oh, there we are, you guys. I think I'm having a funny connection in that spot, so I'm going to try to move. But while I have you back here and everything is clear, I just want to show you guys that this card is actually on my altar right now, except it's the Brotherhood of Light version, and I'd like to share it with you. So I'm going to pull it right off of my altar because this arcanum is everywhere right now. I may have to just kind of hold my phone up like this, but it's worth it for it to stay in the flow of the activation and the space that we just created. So Arcanum 11 has been a huge theme. You can see that I changed the number of the card. Usually the strength card in the Rider-Waite deck is number 8, but this is a manipulation. And if you want to know more about it, I do have a video about this manipulation on my YouTube channel. You can check it out, youtube.com/RebeccaMagic. Scroll down a bit to the manipulation video and you will find it. But I changed it to be proper in this deck, and it's the 11 card. So Arcanum 11 is all about true strength. When we think of strength, we think this masculine force. Not everybody. I mean, everybody has their own ideas of strength, but there's a general inclination to immediately jump to this idea that strength means force and, like brute force and masculinity and power. But our truest, most sustainable power lies within our spirit. It lies within our more subtle energy. And that's why this card has a woman on the front and not a man. Because we're referring not to the electrical energy here, but the magnetic energy of the feminine here, of the feminine polarity. 11 represents the house of Aquarius, which you can see more clearly in this one. She has a vase on her head, which is very much like the water bearer Aquarius, right? But 11 is also the number that represents the Hermetic law of as above, so below, as within, so without. It represents the law of reflection. So this describes magnetism, again, the feminine polarity. So we're not talking about a strength that is physical. We're talking about a strength from the inside out. We're talking about a strength so subtle, but the most profound. I really like this depiction as compared with this one, because here on the top you see the infinity symbol on her head, which, sure, our strength does lie in our awareness of our eternal nature, and there are many other things we can say about that. But why I love the vase on her head here is because it's more particularly getting in touch with this archetypal wisdom. The vase represents the affections, the emotions, the power and strength of the heart. I'll give you an example of another version of this card. Let me see if I could set you guys up again without losing connection. In the Aleister Crowley Thoth deck, I wish I had it out, but I don't have it out right now. I'll try to post a picture later. In that deck, Arcanum 11 is actually called Lust. And it's because we have to conquer our lower animal nature in order to rise to our true strength. We don't want to kill our animal nature, but we do want to subdue it. We want to have it under control. And that is true strength. True strength is not always, fighting somebody and winning that fight in a physical way. True strength is much deeper than that. True strength is really not overcoming anything but your own self, your lower nature, your inclination for evil or for sin or for however you want to look at it. When you can overcome your own faults, your own negative habits, your own negative ways of being, that's true strength. Everything is one anyway, so we're not really overcoming anything other than that one. So what parts of self should we overcome in a righteous way? What does it mean to overcome self, but in a way that is for the sake of the Creator, for the highest good of the One? Those are the ways in which true strength is truly displayed. When you overcome something, why are you overcoming it? For what reason? What good is it doing? And is that good really sustainable? True strength is revealed in acts where we can control our lower desires and transform them into higher ones that benefit all of life. And I like this one a lot because it also really shows some zodiacal references clearly here, like the lion of Leo and the water bearer of Aquarius. It kind of shows the opposite forces coming together, but through love, through the affections. It's showing balance. So our true strength lies in that. This card also has to do with purifying our vessel to take in the light of Creator, Source, Great Spirit. 11 is the sign of strength. 11 represents true strength because one reflects one. When we as one reflect the higher one, we are in our highest light. We are in the image of the Creator. That's when we are truly strong. When we are tapped into Source, that's when our strength is truly unlimited. Any other strength coming from any other source is not going to be nearly as powerful because the only source that is infinite is this one. So this arcanum has to do with purifying the vessel, getting clear, understanding that sensitivity is our strength when we know how to use it, of course, when we understand it. Purifying our vessel so that we can become aware of finer frequencies, hear things that we usually can't hear, see things, clairaudience, that we can't usually see. Tap into the unseen, and that's our real power. Because sure, you can build your muscles and you will be prepared for a fight. But perhaps, had you developed your true strength in picking up on finer frequencies, you would have, through your psychic abilities, received the foresight to completely avoid that fight in the first place. You wouldn't even find yourself in those compromising situations to have to use your brute strength if you developed your true strength, which is subtle but profound. So I believe that this card, which was on my altar, clearly I believe that this card is a theme right now, because this is what we've all been doing this month. I mean, there are people who just weeks ago were, posting pointless, useless crap all over the internet, right? Maybe on their social media pages, their Facebook, their Instagram. And now those same people who were so detached from the truth of what is actually unfolding in the evolution of our consciousness are right on point. It's like we had a quick catch up. And now the collective is really coming together in this awakening. The veil is being lifted for everyone. So, regular old muggles are posting about the most magical of stuff right now. So of course I see how this has been a theme. And wow, this is so powerful because the question that we asked before revealing this card was, what is the gift that we are being given right now? Kind of the trophy for all the hard work we've done. So it's saying that this is actually becoming a tangible thing right now. Our strength. I couldn't have asked for a better gift. I mean, I asked for it. It was on my altar. I was calling this in because I could feel it already stirring beneath our reality. I could feel all the themes and symbols of the Arcanum 11 everywhere within me and around me. So I'm really happy to see this manifesting now for the collective in the form of a gift, because of the hard work that we've done, because of the purifying that we've done, because of the reevaluation of our lives that we've been doing, because of the refining of our awareness and our reality, individually and collectively. We're now being given this strength, this divine strength, this true strength, which comes from, like the vase on her head, the emotions of the heart, the affections. We're really, as a collective, beginning to understand where our true power lies. Because the illusion of the old, where we thought that our true power was, within this or that, within our muscles, or within our sexuality, or within our ability to make money, all those illusions are more than falling away. They're obliterated. They're freaking being eradicated from the collective consciousness right now. So all that's left is the light of God. All that's left is the goodness of the Creator. It's like we have no choice but to surrender to goodness right now, and thank goodness, because that goodness is what will carry us through this time and all times, because goodness, righteousness is our timeless power. So wow, we're being given this gift right now of divine strength. God is saying, wow, you've all been doing this work, purifying and cleansing, and that's all that needs to be done for you to cultivate this great strength, because you don't actually have to do anything to be strong. It's my strength, which I'm going to give to you, the Creator says. All you need to do is humble yourself. All you need to do is bow down in your heart, at least. Have some humility. Because when you're vulnerable in that way, you're not giving up your power. You're getting in touch with a power that is stronger than you could ever even imagine. There's a magic, there's a metaphysical aspect that comes with this surrender to a higher force that is bigger than just your limited self. There's a magic that happens there. A space is opened up for miracles to take place when we just say, I don't know it all. When we say, I don't know it all, it leaves room for something new to be born. When we leave space for the mystery, the universe romances us. Miracles happen. So again, there's a metaphysical understanding to this ability to be vulnerable, to be humble, to keep a special place reserved for the Holy One. And the New Age movement really misses out on this, because within the New Age movement, we're told not to bow to anyone. You are God. And while you are a ray of the sun, consider this, that God is all things as one, way beyond this body. And there is a special place for that source. There's a space, again, that if we reserve that space for this one, it opens up a whole new layer to our practice, to our spiritual practice. This is a very occult understanding that is exhibited in religion and has been shared through religions for hundreds and hundreds of years. But the thing is, it's misperceived. It's not represented correctly. It's convoluted. But there is a very special sacred reason as to why all these religions were even initiated. New Age movement, hear me, listen. There is something missing from our practice, and we are being given an opportunity right now to see what it is. And it is humility. There is a power in humility greater than any power you will find, so long as you maintain that frequency of I am God. When you humble yourself, you allow for such a great power to come in that is beyond your conscious awareness. It's a power that otherwise is inconceivable, inaccessible, unattainable. The only way to this power is through humility. And that is the key right now, humility. Anava is the word in Hebrew. I love that word. So this to me looks like Creator is saying, I see you doing the work, the real work in letting go, surrendering, humbling yourself. And that's all you need to do. Trust in my power. I'm here for you. And like I said in the beginning of this video, today is the day, we're in the middle of Pesach, Passover right now. Today is the day that represents the splitting of the sea. The great miracle happening that could not have been done without Creator. And Moses was like, oh my God, are you serious? I have to be the one to do this, to put my staff down and trust that the sea is going to split. Oh, like he was just like you and I. He was like, holy shit, I don't think I can do this. Can you choose someone else? I don't know. But together, the people called upon God's power through their humility and surrender. And that great miracle happened. In fact, this miracle was even initiated by Miriam, Moses' sister. And the women, they took out their tambourines and their instruments and they started praising God and giving thanks for the miracle that didn't even happen yet. It was the women who led the way. Does that ring a bell? Like when you look at this card, and I'll show you the other one here. When you look at this card and you see that it's a woman, do you understand the symbolism of the story of Miriam and the women and the tambourines before the sea split open? And do you understand why it's a woman on the card of strength? We all have this archetype within us, men and women alike. But the reason that women are highlighted is because it's symbolic. It's showing us that logic will not get us all the way there. It's intuition that will perform at the perfect timing, in harmony with logic, that will create the greatest of miracles. So I'm not here saying that women are going to be doing this alone and it's women. No, I'm saying look deeper to the feminine polarity and force that is within all of creation, all of life. It's that one that has to lead the way in harmony with the masculine polarity, in harmony with logic, to make the miracles happen. Our greater power lies in our spiritual force, as it is open to us by the Almighty One. So that's why that story of Miriam and the women singing before the sea split is so important. It's about understanding that our intuition and our connection to God's power, only available through true humility, is what will create that miracle. And all the 16th century Kabbalists believed, of course Emily Rose would pop in right at this time, my little Kabbalah girl. All of the 16th century Kabbalists believed that at this time, we are the reincarnations of those who were there at that time of the splitting of the sea, at the time of Egypt and the liberation of the Jews. They believed that right now is a retelling. I mean, every year they believed was a retelling of that story, which was why they followed the Torah so closely. But right now they believe this year is the year of the Mashiach. We are in the Messianic times, they believe. Right now it's happening, and you and I are the reincarnations of the characters of this archetypal story of the splitting of the sea. So wow, what a perfect archetype to come up today to remind us that this is indeed what's happening. That if we wish for these miracles to happen and to pull us out of this narrow space, this space of constriction we find ourselves in right now, we have to expect the miracle. And I'm going to offer you a visual meditation here. Picture a torus, a toroidal flow. That tightness that we're feeling right now, which by the way, Egypt in Hebrew is Mitzrayim, means a narrow place, a place of constriction. That tightness we're feeling right now, if you want to get super metaphysical, scientific with it, is actually that middle piece of the toroidal flow. We're actually, time is speeding up, it seems, because everything is constricting. All of creation is contracting, because contraction comes before the expansion. It's just like like everything in life, the law of compensation. It's like the bow and arrow. You have to pull back for it to go farther. We are compressing right now. We're contracting so that we can expand to our fullest potential very soon. So we're going through that birth canal of the toroidal flow, and we will come out the other side. So to me, I see the story of Miriam and the women playing the tambourines and singing their praises before the miracle happened as a way of giving thanks for it already on its way. This is the same thing as the toroidal field. Okay, for all my fellow science nerds out there, instead of seeing, the story of Egypt and the tambourines and the splitting of the sea, if you want to get real scientific with your visuals, for all you Aquarians, you can see us as a collective consciousness, or see yourself as a representation of that, moving through the middle of the toroidal field, moving through the middle of the toroidal flow, and we're feeling tight, and we're feeling like we're contracting, but we know we're going to come out of the other side. This is a law of energy. This is a law of nature. It's a universal law. What goes up must come down. There's so many different examples to give, but you can picture yourself in the middle of this toroidal flow, and we are going to come out on the other side. So cheer, give thanks right now for the knowing, of course it's going to happen. That's the same thing as the women expecting the miracle. That's the same thing as us right now expecting all of the chaos and struggle going on in the world to come to a better point, to come to a point of relief. It's inevitable. So start acting like it. But know why it's inevitable. Because of the laws of nature, because of the laws of spirit, of God. I give thanks for that. I trust in that and nothing else. I don't even trust in my own human conceptions all the way through, unless they are absolutely aligned with universal law. I check everything with universal law. The universal law is our innate system of checks and balances written into our DNA. This is your true strength. Because when you learn something new, unless you compare it to the truth of God or to universal law or the laws of nature, whatever you want to call it, unless you compare it to that, you don't have a full exploration of the truth within what it is you are observing and studying. But when we hold up what we are observing and studying to the proportions of the divine, we will find all of the truths that lie within whatever it is we're looking at. We have to hold our visions up to truth and see how it matches to understand just how valid it is, if we should really accept whatever that is into our awareness. So that's our true power. So right now, again, major arcanum number 11 is the gift that we're receiving right now. Should we be humble enough to open to it? We've done the work this month in purifying, cleansing, realizing the real work is in surrendering to this God, this creator. Because without reserving that special space for God, if we just think we are that and that's it, there's nothing more to accomplish. Miracles can't happen. You need to create the space for the miracle if you want it to happen. If there's no space for it to happen, what are you doing? Okay. Now, I'm going to move this guy a little bit here. Okay. So that's the gift that we're receiving. What's the best archetype for us to embody right now to best receive this gift of strength, to begin to immediately integrate it most effectively for the highest good of the one? How can we do that? How can we best receive this gift of divine strength right now? Ace of Pentacles. Boom, an ace. Aces are initiations. And this is the Ace of Pentacles. And a lot of people think, and this is, again, I'm going to talk about this manipulation here, which if you want to know more about the manipulations, visit my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rebecca Magic, scroll down. A lot of people think that the Pentacles suit is Earth, but really each of the suits represent one of the elements most, but all of the elements are present within each suit. They're just in a different order. So I want to tell you why I don't see the Pentacle immediately as Earth or the material realm. I see it as a product of the mental realm, the air element, because our thoughts become things. That gold, that pentacle, that coin doesn't really have anything to do with this material reality. This material reality is an illusion anyway. So what we really want to do, and this is always what you look for in tarot, is look for the occult meaning. What is the real meaning of this coin? This coin has no value, no real gold, unless it's filled, impregnated with realization, truth. Because the truth that it contains will reveal its real value. So while most people would see this as Ace of Pentacles, an initiation in the material realm, beginning a new project, I want to invite you to go a little bit deeper into the occult meaning as it then translates into that starting a new project. So before we start the new project, we need to start the new project. I see this as an opportunity that's manifesting in the material realm as a result of the opportunity we've conceived of in our mind's eye. So how can we best receive this strength? By understanding that in order to actually receive it, we must act, we must integrate. Everything in this realm is about action. Without action upon realization, nothing happens here. We're here to crystallize all that which is in the unseen realm for the highest good of the one. So the best way to take this gift, to receive this gift from God, this true strength, is to welcome it, receive it, and then integrate it. What are all the ideas you've been having in your mind about the new projects you want to do? How can you now invite this divine strength more deeply into that perspective and see it supporting those thoughts, ideas, visions, projects you want to initiate? How can you conceive of these new ideas, projects, in ways that serve the one? How can you and God, Great Spirit, Creator, work together in the best way for the highest good of the one, right here, right now? How can you build a new life co-creating with God? Simple. Just now that you know you have access to this great power through humility, now that you know you are being given this gift of true strength, how can you begin a new project working with that strength? Fully using it as best as you can, like really taking advantage of that power that's streaming to you right now. How can you make sure that you open up as wide as possible to receive that power and make the most of it, do the most with it right now? And remember, this strength is not like, brute force. It's not, pumping up your muscles. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to start a new project by beating up all the bad guys in the world who've been doing all these bad things. No, it's like your true strength is in your ability to purify and become sensitive so that you can develop your more psychic senses, so that you can have foresight into the future to best prepare now to avoid situations that you might have needed the other kind of strength for had you not. So how can you use these psychic abilities? How can you use foresight? How can you use your sensitivity to your senses? How can you use your newly developed sixth sense to create a new life for yourself and for the world? I see very clearly now, because all of the visions are coming together in my mind as I'm receiving them. The best, most effective way that we can integrate this new channel of strength that we're being given as a gift through our cooperation with the universe is by immediately integrating it, putting it to work. When we give this gift of strength a vessel to work with, it can do what it needs to do. So what is God's strength and power in the form of your heightened senses? going to help create for this world. God, use me as an instrument, move me to wherever I need to be as according to the divine plan. And I trust that you know best because you can see it all. Even when I think I can, I cannot. So I trust that I'm in the perfect place at the perfect time. Do with me what you will. I am an instrument of the divine, right? That's basically what this is showing us right here. It's saying, the archetypes are saying, God is saying, here, take this real, profound strength and do something with it, because that's the only way you're going to actualize it, get to know it, familiarize yourself with it, cultivate it, deepen it. So put it to work. Let me put you to work, Creator says. Just open up and let's work. Using your new strengths of psychic ability, using the new strength that you've developed through purifying your vessel, your mind, your body, your soul, using these new talents and abilities. Woo! Collective psychic awakening. Using these new abilities, how do you see in your mind's eye, because that's where it begins before you can actually do the project. How do you see in your mind's eye you using these new abilities to create? How are you going to use your new gifts, your new strength? When you see and conceive of it in your mind's eye, of how you're going to use these strengths, you immediately begin to strategize, and eventually you manifest those situations that are going to allow you to practice what you've been seeing in your mind's eye. That's the story that Major Arcanum 6 to the 7 tells, the challenge to the chariot. When you think of a plan in your head, the universe then provides the opportunity for you to carry it out. And that's up to you to move through it. So see yourself with this new gift of strength. This strength that you've never had before, this most profound strength, God-given strength. And see all the ways that strength is coming through you, right? Like through your new psychic senses. How are you going to apply them to your life right here, right now? How are you going to actually make something of it? That's what these cards are saying. It's like you can best receive this gift right now by immediately putting it to work, by immediately trying it on for size. Feel it out. Feel into your new gifts. And then, this is a collective reading, so I invite you to do that for yourself, but then I invite you to do that for the collective. How can you see in your mind's eye a collective psychic awakening? You know, a lot of people have said, oh, wow, like for years and years now, oh, the world is waking up, oh, we're all waking up, da, 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 da. But how have you done the work, the inner work, to visualize that actually happening? Have you really gone deep with that? Have you had fun with that? It's okay if you haven't, because right now the message is coming through, because now is the moment that it's going to have the most profound effect if we do this individually and together. Now's the time. We're being given an opportunity to capitalize on this energy right now. The archetypes are in support of us doing this right now. So how can we all not only see ourselves applying this new spiritual strength that we've acquired, but how can we in our mind's eye see the collective awakening specifically to the power of God, the greatest power, the purest, most innocent, all for one for all power. Have fun with it. Stay as long as you'd like. Sit there. Visualize until you feel this great awakening happening. But more specifically, because we could just say see the great awakening happening, and we could see so many things. We could see the land healing. We can see life blooming in ourselves and in plants and in animals. And oh gosh, we could go any sort of a way with that visual meditation. But what we're being asked to do here is collectively see the awakening in a way that is a psychic awakening. Can you see yourself and can you see the collective all together in holy synchronicity, awakening to our higher abilities? Remember, this is only achieved by the grace of God, by true humility. So can you see this whole New Age movement and all these powerful beings who've been doing the inner work, doing the shadow work, doing the light building, doing the meditations, doing the fasting, doing the purifying, all these things, all these people awakening? Can you see all of that body of awakening, that collective body of awakening, all at once, turning to humility and opening up that channel to the divine, to true power? Can you see our collective humility right now growing? Because that is what's happening. So can you help me? Can we do this together? Can we see and feel and affirm this is happening right now? That you and me and the collective are awakening to true humility, opening up together a huge channel to let God's power in, activating our true strength, which is in our hearts and in our minds, not just our muscles. The muscles are a byproduct because we'll be so balanced that our bodies will follow suit. Our bodies will reflect that equilibrium, and we'll have the perfect body that we're meant to have for the task at hand as a byproduct of opening up to our real strength, which lies in our center, in the center of each of our centers, that center. Can you see us all taking this great awakening to the next level through our humility? Through finally saying, you know what, I'm not God. I am not the Mashiach. If there was a Mashiach, he wouldn't be going around saying he is. Can you see this great awakening finally saying, I'm not God. God, we need you now. Not because we're giving up our power. On the contrary, we're opening up to our greatest power. Because again, when you reserve a space for the one, a special space for that one, who you alone are not, but a part of, a magical practice opens up. And that magical practice has not been available to the collective consciousness because it just wasn't time. But now it is time. Now we're ready. And so these messages are coming through left and right. I see people everywhere coming to this understanding. I see people of all different backgrounds and faiths and cultures coming to this understanding that, holy shit, religion does have something to offer us behind all the bullshit and the manipulations. There is a real power in humility that we cannot open up to unless we surrender this freaking ego that we can do it all on our own. Why would you want to do that? That's ridiculous. Why would you want to carry that weight? So I'm asking you to do this with me, to see all of those people already awakened as one, having the realization that we're ready to take things to the next level. Having the realization together that it is only achievable through humility, and we're ready to surrender the manipulation of the new age. That we can do this all on our own, that we are God. To humility, to understanding that there's a sacred space that we must hold for that God. A space of mystery so that the miracles can happen. Because if we think we know it all, then there's nothing left to do here. So let's acknowledge that there is more work to do. Let's acknowledge a greater power so that that surrender can open up the opportunity for the miracle to come in. Let's see the collective taking it to the next step by seeing us all activating our psychic powers. See your friends and your family. Maybe you even want to go as far as to envision political leaders in your mind's eye waking up to their more unseen senses, the ones that up until now have been intangible. Let's see those becoming tangible. Let's see them becoming so real. Let's see our friends and family all talking about how real these psychic powers are. Oh my God, in my mind, I'm going to see having a conversation with my dad maybe, or my grandfather saying, wow, I'm really feeling this psychic activation. Like I'm seeing things I never saw before. I'm opening up to possibilities that before I was completely closed up to. Let's pull the curtain up. Let's lift the veil for the whole collective right now. But see it in very specific ways. See it in ways that display our true strength. Because up until now, that's been perverted, and we've been seeing our true strength as muscles and war and conquering. But now that we know where our true strength lies, let us see that in our mind's eye in a detailed way, manifesting for ourselves and for everyone we love and know, and even strangers and the rest of the world and political leaders and those in power. Let's see very specifically these people waking up to their true strength, connecting to God, connecting to their humility, developing their psychic abilities, talking about awakening. Yes, see somebody that you know who's been completely in their cognitive dissonance about this whole thing. See them opening up. What does that look like? See it until it becomes real to you, until you can feel it, because it's very real. Oh shit, we are in a time right now where so much is possible, where the veil is being lifted, and if we only sit in meditation and consider the possibilities, they will begin opening up to us. So much is believable. Everybody's going down the rabbit hole. So what do we want to believe? All the cards are out on the table. Everything is there. Now's the time to bring it up. There's a receptivity. Whoop, I'm going to lose service there, so let me move away so we don't kill the stream here. How do we begin to envision the next level? It's okay that we haven't been as detailed with our visions as we needed to be, because we didn't know how, for a reason. It wasn't time. We weren't best prepared yet to take this step. And now we've done the preliminary work and we're ready to start seeing in detail the next step. Now that we have the pieces, right? Because we're at the final quarter now, this cycle. We had the full moon last week. Everything was revealed in its fullest light. We have the whole picture. We have everything we need in our hands. Now it's time for the transformation. Now we know exactly what to do. So to prepare for this new cycle, the new moon, which I expect is going to be all about this great psychic awakening, as we prepare for that, how better to do that than to see it happening right here, right now, right? So I believe that this final quarter is all about us preparing for the new cycle in seeding the fruit of what is to come. I do believe that we are going to start exhibiting our true strength and building a reality in the reflection of our divine strength, and not the old way of false strength. So how can we best prepare for that right now? Obviously, it's by seeing how we're going to weave this new power into our lives. How are we going to use it? How are we going to work in harmony with this divine power to bring change to this planet, to our lives and to this planet? So see it. See people awakening to the next step. We're ready now to do that. We have the information we need. It's very clear. The only way that we're actually going to make it to the next step is by developing humility and exhibiting true strength, which is divine strength, which is subtle but profound, which is unseen. And so we must tap into it to use it. I mean, nothing's ever that easy in life. You have to work for it. So of course, our true strength, if we really want it, we're going to have to dig. And we've been doing that, and now we're actually getting somewhere. We're hitting the gold. And now it's time to start thinking about how we're going to use that. So picture that for yourself and for the collective. And together, we will not only conceive of this next step in awakening, but we will actualize it. And it's coming sooner than you think. So remember, we're in the toroidal flow. We are feeling the compression. We're in the center. Of course, we're going to come out the other side. This is natural law. Thank you, nature. Thank you, spirit. The contractions come before the birth. So ride the waves. Look to mothers for inspiration. Look to the nurturers. Look to those who've been through. But what is the work? Surrender. And that's why I feel like right now the perfect metaphor for where we're at is a mother in labor. Because it is all about the contraction before the expansion, the contractions before the birth. We're riding the waves. There's nothing we can do but surrender, because the only power that is going to get us through the next stages here of our collective evolution is the power of God, is that divine force. And in order to access it, we have to humble ourselves and just hollow ourselves, humble and hollow ourselves to be vessels for this power to come in and then do whatever it has to do. So see yourself like that mother in labor. What would she do? She would breathe. She would allow, she would surrender, she would trust, because she has no choice, because she cannot run from what is happening to her. New life is being born, and that is plenty to celebrate. And if we can celebrate it before it comes, even better. Because that reveals true faith, true trust, and true surrender. All the things needed to open up to the divine power that will carry us all the way through the labor and the hard work to the birth of the new world. Thank you guys for tuning in. Go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't yet. It's youtube.com/Rebecca Magic. I am doing private readings in this time. Feel free to book with me, send me a private message. I'm also doing one-on-one tarot lessons, so feel free to inquire about that. But first and foremost, thank you for joining me in this activation, for joining me in this activation, in this work that we're doing to conceive of the next step in our awakening here, and for doing the actual inner and outer work that it takes to manifest this next step, to actualize this next step. Really doing it. Go ahead and share this video with anybody you know who could benefit from this message. If you know any powerful beings who are doing that inner work right now, or even beings who are just awakening, maybe they've been awake for 10 years, I don't know. Maybe they just woke up yesterday, maybe they woke up today because they saw something about, 5G. I don't know. There are so many triggers right now that are triggering people into awakening and awareness. But that's the point. There are so many people right now that are becoming aware. So I'm sure you could think of one or two people to send this video to join in this work, this archetypal activation that we just experienced. The more people that hear this, doesn't matter that it wasn't live. Whenever they tune in is perfect timing, because this message is timeless. So if you can send it to those people and they join into this channel, we grow this power and we initiate this process faster and more efficiently. Inclusiveness is a virtue for a reason. When we can do the most with the least amount of energy, we are really honoring the law of conservation of energy that's built into our oneness. So when I say inclusiveness is a virtue, I hope that inspires you to send this video to someone or maybe a bunch of people who can join in on this really powerful work, this archetypal work, that no doubt is going to be the work to carry us through now and always, because the archetypal story is always the most important story behind all of the other stories we're telling ourselves or telling each other on the outside. The archetypal story is the truth, always behind everything that's unfolding. When I say archetypal story, I'm saying these archetypes as forces of operation behind everything we're thinking, everything we're saying, and everything we're doing. When we brush aside the details, when we lift the veil, these are the ones. These are the forces at work. And they're not hiding. We're hiding them. And it's all purposeful, this game of hide and seek. It's been going on since the beginning of creation. But the point is, they're there. They've always been there. And they're just waiting for you to discover them. And they wait so patiently for the perfect timing because they trust that in the perfect timing, you're going to seek them out. And you're going to pull up the rug and you're going to find them there and say, aha, oh, this is what's going on. Okay. Wow. Personally, I want to do that all the time because I want to know the truth of everything that's happening. I don't want to deceive myself with my thoughts. I don't want to deceive myself or anyone with my thoughts or my words or my actions. I want to know the truth so that I can further be that truth and so that I can promote that truth, support it, activate it, reaffirm it, blow it the heck up to everybody who wants to see it. That's why I do this work with archetypal activations. That's why I work with these universal symbols, because I believe that the universal language is symbolism. I believe that this is the Tower of Babel that will never fall. I believe this language is timeless. It's forever. The answers are always there, operating behind the scenes, and all we need to do is look. All we need to do is ask. Who's operating right now? And then when I see the story behind my story, I can stop making assumptions, which has a profound effect on one's life. I can stop taking things personally because I understand that this is not my story, but an ancient story that's being told over and over. I can depersonalize all the details of my story. I can stop being upset with people. I can let things go. I can start doing my absolute best because I know what my responsibility is. My purpose is awakened when I remember this archetypal story. When I'm just hearing my own stories again and again, and my small stories about my material entanglement in this life, it's not very empowering. It doesn't activate my purpose in a way that looking at this archetypal story does. And what's the other agreement? Being impeccable with your word. When I look at the story, when I uncover the real story behind my words of what's going on for all of us, I can be impeccable with my word. I am forced to be responsible. I have no choice but to take accountability then. Because everything is transparent at that point. And I know that I must be careful with my words if I wish to actually accomplish a progression within that story. That ancient, timeless story, this story that's like a ring of light that never ends. We want to always progress and keep it moving, because stagnancy is disease, is death. Life is movement, is action, fluidity, frequency, vibrating. So when I look at this story, it gives me guidance. Where do I go next? Where am I at right now? How the hell did I get here? Oh, I see. Okay. So, this is what got me here, and this is where I'm at right now. And okay, then I can begin to connect the smaller details of my life to this underlying story, and I can make sense of it all. Anyways, I'll end that there now. Thank you guys for tuning into this activation. Please, please send this to people who you think will do this work with us, will benefit from hearing this message, will actually receive it and make something of it. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you for the new moon in a week. Aloha, shalom.